Welcome to The Ash, our Ghosts Real podcast. Here we share the stories of our listeners and the paranormal experiences they have encountered. We have all heard the bump in the night and seen the shadow in the corner of the room. Here are the stories from the people who have witnessed it firsthand, so sit back and listen to the stories that Ash and his guests have in store for you.
Hello and welcome to this week's Ash, a Ghost Reel podcast. With me, I have Louise from the PI Ghost Hunters UK. How are you doing, Louise?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, thank you. So, on today's episode, we're going to be discussing Cogges Manor Hall. And before we discuss Cogges Manor Hall, Louise, I know you have involvement with the PI Ghost Hunters. So, who are the PI Ghost Hunters?
Yes, they are a fairly new team. Started at the beginning of this year. Currently, there's about 7 of us.
Right.
And what we're doing is we're just kind of doing team-only investigation, so it's not really open to members of the public.
Yeah.
At the moment. So I've only kind of joined in with them over the last couple of weeks. I'm still quite new to them. Yeah, we've actually got our first investigation, which is on the 18th of July.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, that's going to be at the Haunted Objects Museum up in Rotherham.
Oh, right, okay.
So very much looking forward to that. We're very excited. We've had a couple of meets together and we've got a lot of things going on actually and a lot of ideas. So we're very much looking forward to that.
Fantastic, yeah, that sounds wicked. But have you done ghost hunting before that?
Yes, so I've actually kind of been getting into that over the last, I would say, 4 years.
Okay.
It's kind of actually my mum that kind of got me into it to start with. She's always been into it, and I suppose when I was younger I was just more like scared of the things she used to say, the stories she used to tell me. But yeah, it's kind of been over the last 4 years that I've kind of opened up my mind to it. Kind of started with one of my friends said to me, oh, she found a ghost hunt, from a ghost hunting group based in the UK, and she said, oh, do you want to go on it? And we did, and it just kind of started from there. So I've done a few ghost hunting tours, I suppose you could say, or groups at various locations throughout the UK, and it's just been amazing. Like the experiences I've had, watching other people's experiences, hearing about other people's experiences, it's just really, really opened up my mind, and I just enjoy every single part of it.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's obviously people just do it because they enjoy it at the end of the day, and that's what people go for and want to experience these new things.
Definitely, and I always find it interesting talking to people and hearing, because everybody's got a different opinion on paranormal and experience and all of that, so it's all very interesting to talk to.
Definitely, and I have alluded this to a past podcast, but the way I see it, I very much sit on the fence. I'm 50-50. That's why I won't give anything biased away. I won't throw it either way, or it will swing either way. I'll challenge and I'll also find stories interesting. But the whole point of the podcast is to hear people's stories and for them to share their experiences, and that's what we're going to do today. And that leads us on perfectly to really Cogges Manor Hall. So the history of Cogges Manor Hall, dates back to the Domesday Book. So it's been around a long time. It's been held by kings of England, including Henry VIII. It's also been held by the original owner, who was Waddard, who appears on the Bayeux Tapestry. So it has got a very, very rich history.
Yeah, definitely.
But from your experiences there, why does it appeal to you?
Well, I went there, it was August last year, and I've never been there before. I hadn't even heard of it before. It just came up on, this ghost hunting group that I was part of, but, I was a guest of at that time. And really, we chose to do it because it was fairly local to us. It was probably about an hour's drive away. So, I think from the experience that I've had there, number one, it's a beautiful location. Like the buildings are amazing, the grounds are incredible. But as soon as you go into that manor house, you can just feel the energy. Like you just know when you walk in somewhere and you go, I feel like this is going to be a good night.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was one of those locations, and yeah, just the experience that I've had has just been incredible. As soon as I get the opportunity to go back, I'm definitely going to be going back.
Brilliant. So like you said, what experiences have you had then?
Yeah, so as I said, when we first walked into Manor House, it was just feeling the energy. Just as soon as you walk through the front door, you're just thinking there's definitely something here. But I suppose the couple of things that really stood out for me that evening. So it was a 3-story house, and I specifically remember being on the second floor. It was a room that was at the back of the house. Now I'm only assuming that back in the day it probably would have been. I don't know if it would have been like a second living room or maybe like a child's room, something like that, child's play area. So it had that kind of feel about it. And so you know how it is when you're a guest for ghost hunting groups, you have a big group and then they kind of split you into smaller groups to go around the location.
Yeah.
So there was probably about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 of us there in this group, and I was holding a K2 meter.
Yeah.
And there was probably about 2 other people that had K2 meters in the group as well. And I noticed that my one was starting to flicker. It was going from green to yellow to red, like quite active.
Yeah.
And we couldn't debunk it. So, we couldn't say, yes, there was, electric anywhere or it was anybody's phone. Like, we debunked all of that. But it was only my one that was going off. It wasn't, others that were in the room.
Yeah, just to clarify as well, do you want to explain to the listeners what a K2 meter is if they might not know?
Yeah, so it's actually like electricians use it. So they will maybe go around a room and just determine if there's an electric field.
Yes.
And I suppose when you're ghost hunting, it's come to light that it's quite useful to have that. And people just say that it's a way of knowing if a spirit is there. Like they can interact with it. They can make it kind of got like 6 lights on it, and it will go from green to yellow to red. And yes, it's been known in the past. I know I've definitely had other experiences where spirits have been able to make it flicker or go up to the colours. So it's quite a useful tool to have, in my opinion.
Bro. So on with the story.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I've definitely been places where that there's a spirit there and you kind of get a feeling of who it could be.
Yeah.
And I just kind of thought, well, it's only my K2 meter going off, so maybe it could be a spirit that has followed me.
Yeah.
And it might something to do with me. Anyway, we tried to go around the room and just say, is it a spirit for, and then just say your name.
Yeah.
And just see if it would react to the K2 meter. Anyway, it got all the way around and it came back to me, and it hadn't gone off the whole time with anybody else, saying their name until I started speaking, and the K2 meter's going off like incredible, like it's going to yellow to red.
10 to the dozen, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm starting to think, okay, obviously it's something that has followed me.
Yeah.
Something that maybe, it's something that's trying to communicate with me. And at the time, one of my best friends, her cousin had passed away earlier on that year. Right. And I knew that he had actually come through to me at another time, and I just had the feeling that it's him.
Yeah.
So I start asking, is it him? And it's reacting to that. I'm asking questions that my friend has asked me to ask him. So it's coming to light that it was him. And yeah, it was just amazing that the way that just the feeling and the way that the K2 meter was going off. I felt him push me as well, like he pushed me forward, but not in like a horrible way. It was just a, hey, I'm here kind of way. There was actually another point in the night that we did a Ouija board session. That was actually down in the kitchen. And he came through on the Ouija board again to me, and he actually spelled out his name. And the message that he came through with that was pray for me.
Right.
And I was a bit like, I'm not sure why, but anyway, I did, and he has never come back to me. So obviously that was the message to give me that evening. But yeah, just that whole feeling was just incredible.
Yeah, we've never had something that personal on the podcast. What is it like when you know that it is quite personal, and when it is something that affects your life? It's not a new ghost. It's not a new entity. It's something that it's something special to you.
Yeah, I've had a couple of times of experiences, where I have had something personal come through to me.
Yeah.
The best way I can describe it is you just get that like warm feeling inside,
Yeah.
like you just know who it is,
Yeah.
they're there to give you a message. I'm quite a fan on Ouija boards. I know that a lot of people are a bit funny on them.
Yeah.
But I find it's the most easiest way to communicate with the spirit if they know how to use it. So if they come through with a message, I find it as if it's a message for somebody else. It's your job to then pass it on to that person.
Yeah, definitely.
And I have every single time, because it will either make sense to them or it won't.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
No, it is nice when things like that happen. You've heard stories of it happening before, but obviously you don't know until it's actually happened to you how personal it can get. Because I know that it can get quite emotional depending on the way the past and things like that. So it's a nice story to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I've had stuff come to me regarding me and what I'm going through, and it does get emotional. But yeah definitely when things come through, to pass messages on to friends or family, then I guess in a way you kind of feel like you're doing your bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I suppose obviously going from the from that story, I know I spoke to you earlier, but is there anything sinister there, or has it got a history of anything sinister at Cogges Manor Hall? Do you know?
I definitely didn't pick up that there was anything sinister there. If anything, it was just so energetic. You just have that feeling, but there was definitely nothing in my opinion that was scary or anything that didn't want us there.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I mean, the thing for me is whenever I go ghost hunting somewhere, I don't actually look at the history because I don't want that to influence the experience I have. I don't want to have an idea in my head and then, make it something that it's not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely get you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's got a history, but I definitely didn't get a feeling that there was anything when I was there.
Brilliant. And I know that Cogges Manor Hall itself is open to the public as a heritage centre, really. So it is open to the public. You can visit it, and I bet there are places with ghost hunting companies that offer nights there. But why would you recommend it visiting?
I think if you're into the whole paranormal stuff and you do want to have a good experience, I mean, look, I've had more experiences there as well, which I've jotted down to have a talk about because it's just absolutely crazy, the stuff that we have there. But I just feel like it's just a great location to go explore. As I said, I'll definitely be going back for sure when I get the opportunity to.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, even like you say, for days out, I know that they do. They're very child friendly there as well. So even just like a day out with the family, I would imagine it would be a great day out as well.
Definitely. And what other stories do you have that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so there was actually another guest there who brought along a doll. So I think that she had actually like moderated the doll. So what she had done is she had put like light up eyes on this doll. So it was if the spirit had come into contact with the doll, the eyes would light up.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of similar to like the KTO, I suppose, but it was, in this doll. And anyway, we went up to the top floor of this manor house, and there were 2 rooms. Oh no, there were 3 rooms at this top floor. And we were kind of like just sitting in one, and there wasn't really much happening. Then we decided to go in the far room of the front house. And this lady had put this doll. We found like an old Victorian pram, just casually just hanging around. And we decided to put this doll in the pram.
Yeah.
And just leave it in the corner of the room, and just, because usually you get stuff like trigger objects, don't you? And dolls have to be associated with children. Yeah, so we thought, maybe if there is a child spirit here, they might want to come and play with the doll, whatever. So we just kind of left this doll in the corner of the room, and I'm probably within probably even less than 5 minutes, this doll is going off, and it's like something around it or something is touching the doll, someone's going to play with the doll. And yeah, it ended up becoming very responsive to the things that we were saying. I definitely got the feeling that it was a child just because of how it was acting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know, the questions that we were asking as well, there was definitely something there. And it followed us down to the bottom of the house as well, and we just ended up sitting in another room, and it was doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
You know,
so just a really playful energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
So that was amazing as well. But the most memorable experience that I had from that place was after that we went outside and we went into what would have been a farm back in the day, but they've now since turned it into like a child's play area, like a soft play area.
Yeah.
So our group's in here, and we've closed the door behind us, so we're in the pitch black. There's benches all along the walls, so we're all just sitting down. And I'm actually sitting right opposite where the door is that we've come in.
Yeah.
We weren't really feeling much, but there were a couple of people that were saying, you know, they could feel around their feet like a cold air, a little bit of energy, and it was kind of like going in between their feet, almost like what an animal would do, like a cat or something.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the start of it, and we weren't really feeling much else, so we were just kind of like talking amongst ourselves. And anyway, I looked at the door, and I swear I could see like a shadow like walking like the other side of the door, like, you know, when you can see people's feet.
Yeah.
It was like that, and I kept saying, there's someone out there, like maybe another team member, and they're going, no, they're in, you know, they're in different parts of the location. Anyway, I just kind of thought, oh, you know, maybe it's just my eyes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the barn door just opened up by itself, as if somebody was walking in. It was so weird, and we just kind of were like, what the hell? Like, we weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
And then it closed. But it was so controlled. It wasn't like
Yeah.
opened it or anything. It was literally like somebody walked in, checked out who we were, and closed the door again.
Wow.
It was so scary. And anyway, so the group leader that we were with, she just said, you know, if that was you, do it again. And it did it again on command. Same way, you know, opened it very controlled, closed it very controlled, and we were all just going, oh my god, I can't believe I'm just thinking.
So surreal.
You know, I've never seen things like that. Yeah. So that was just amazing. And yeah, we were telling all the other groups that were there, oh, this happened and this happened. They're going, oh no, that didn't happen to us in the farm. So at the end of the night, we kind of had you know, free time to go and do, you know, whatever we wanted in whatever area we wanted. So I was with 2 other people on that hunt, and we decided to go back to the farm because, you know, that was where the main activity was that we liked. So we went in there, and nothing was happening at all, really. Like I had the KT meter in there, it wasn't going off. It felt quite flat.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of saying, oh, you know, if nothing is here, then we're probably just going to go then. You know, obviously you don't want to communicate with us anymore. And as soon as we said that, the door flung open.
Wow.
And we got such a fright because we weren't expecting that again. But it was different. It was almost like whatever it was just going, well, leave then. you know, like we don't want to do anything, what kind of thing. So yeah, that was probably one thing that I will never forget, is that experience of the door opening and closing.
Fantastic. Wow. I think I know your answer already, but I'm going to ask you the question. Are ghosts real?
I definitely think that ghosts are real. Yeah.
Fantastic. So that is the end of the Cogges Manor Farm podcast. Thank you for joining me, Louise. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
No problem. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So before we finish, I don't know if you've got anything else to add.
Yes, I just wanted to quickly just add as well, just talking about, you know, doing ghost hunts. I mean, I don't know if you've been on ghost hunts.
Yes,
before,
yeah.
Yeah, you just know how you just meet like groups of people, and you just kind of get in contact with them. I just wanted to quickly add in there that last year I actually met a lovely lovely couple called Kirk and Laura.
Yeah.
And they actually have their own ghost hunting team, which is called K&L Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
They're based up in Nottingham. What they do, though, I mean, they're absolutely incredible at like the whole media and recording footage and doing all of that, which is amazing. But they've got their own group as well within that, which is the Paranormal Collective.
Yeah.
It's a bit different actually because they are more community-based paranormal investigation group. So they don't necessarily just go on public ghost hunts. They kind of more welcome the more experienced investigators and anyone that's willing to learn. I just wanted to give them a quick mention.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So that is the end of today's podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.